Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backlot Banter. I'm putting the emphasis on that T because today we are talking about movies. We're talking about cinema. We're talking about films. 2020 was a strange year for the movie industry, to say the least. And now we're in 2021, and everything is looking up and up. Everything's going swell here in 2021. Isn't that right,
No
fellas?
issues,
No
nothing.
issues, not whatsoever.
But what
Uh-uh.
about that thing that happened? And
Oh,
the other thing that
we're
happened?
not going to talk about that thing that happened because I think I'll put one of the jokes about that at Stinger at the end.
I'd like to first commend you on your intro. That was the best intro you've ever done,
Thank you. Thank
hands
you.
down,
Thank you.
totally. But movies, 2020.
Movies
You know?
2020. Listen, we're going a bit ethereal with this video, okay? We're not going
Whoa.
to do a hard line top 10 of 2020. We're not going to do that garbage. Everyone does that, but we're going to think outside the box. It's 2021, baby. It's the
We're going
future.
below the garbage.
We're going below the garbage, as some might say, like Tucker.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna shout out some. Actually, we're gonna do this. We're gonna shout out some of the best, most notable movies we saw this year. If you guys want to shout out some absolute shit you saw this year, just do that as well. Just be ready. Tucker, I know
Oh,
you
yeah.
got one, so I'm prepared for that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then we're also gonna talk about the movie industry in 2020. We're gonna talk about lots of things concerning movies for the next however long this video is. You can see that because you're watching the video.
Believe it or not, we're
On that
recording
note,
live, so we
On
don't
that
know
note,
how long it's going to be.
we're getting meta here. When Tanner hosts the show, we get meta.
It's true. But I'm going to start it off because I watched a 2020 movie a couple days ago that I'm surprised I didn't watch at launch because not only did I think it came out on my birthday, but it's a concept that is fantastic for a film. And that is, of course, Seth Rogen's An American Pickle,
Ah,
in which a 1919 Jewish man accidentally pickles himself for 100 years and wakes up and spends time with his great grandson. And he tries to start a pickle business and they have like a pickle war. And is there a better idea for a movie? Is there a better concept? No,
I'd say so. Oh,
no.
I'd say
Not.
there's probably better ideas.
And actually,
this is a
it
real
was a pretty
movie?
funny movie. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it was. And Seth Rogen plays
It's
himself twice. It's fantastic.
It's an HBO Max original.
It is.
Okay.
Did not watch it on there. I do have access to HBO Max. Didn't use it.
Well, wait,
Found
Tucker.
it
Then
somewhere I shouldn't
wait,
have.
Tucker. How did you watch that movie then? If you didn't
Uh,
watch it on HBO Max?
Well, I would like to hear what Abram has to say.
Okay,
about
we're gonna
it.
move ahead. We're not gonna address
Um,
Tucker's potential crimes. We're gonna move ahead.
Yeah, so I didn't get to see many 2020 films this year. I gotta say, I've been very heavy in the gaming sphere, and at the same time, it's been a down year for film on the whole. But I did see
Yeah.
a couple things that I really enjoyed. My favorite film of the year was Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman.
Mm.
I am a big Guy Ritchie fan, especially everything he did before his movies got painfully mediocre. So I'm a big Snatch fan, a big Lock, Stock fan.
Mhm.
And Gentleman felt like a return to that. I really love Matthew McConaughey in most of his more dramatic roles. I thought that the direction of this movie was so fun. I thought the plot was fun. I thought the pace, it was such a snappy film.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable to watch. And I was sitting there thinking, if I were to direct a film, this is what I'd want to make.
Wow.
There's just a fun factor to this that I found really endearing, and the cast does an excellent job. Hugh Grant, everyone. Fantastic.
It certainly does feel like a classic Guy Ritchie film, but like shined
Yeah.
up and with more of a budget behind it. That's exactly what The Gentleman feels like. And Tucker, I know you're not a huge fan of. We watched Snatch together. Did we? We watched.
No.
No, we didn't watch it together. But you didn't.
I think
you
we're at
were-
the same time.
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
Okay. Well,
Like
I'm
with
not-
a vehement burning passion. I
Yeah.
seriously think it's terrible.
I find it perfectly okay. Same thing goes for The Gentleman. Perfectly okay movie, in my
Fair.
opinion.
Haven't seen it. Nothing against it. I actually might check it out at some point, just to sort of see if I prefer the more modern style of Guy Ritchie's film. But yeah, nothing to comment on that one.
Definitely a style to it that Snatch and Lock, Stock don't have. There's sort of a shine, like Tanner said, that I think makes it something special. So
I'm going to shout out. I'm not going to do my favorite movie of the year. I'm going to go with my second favorite movie of the year.
okay.
Potentially, well, so as we addressed before we started the recording, there might be some contention on the fact whether this should be counted as a movie or not. It's a documentary called Boys State, produced by A24. Are either of you familiar with the sort of Boys State real world occurrence that happens?
No.
You and I watched this fucking movie together.
I know we did, but it was more of a question directed at Abram.
I know nothing about
Boys
it.
State is a brilliant idea that somebody had years and years, decades ago. That was, let's get a bunch of high school boys, slap them together in a room for 3 days, and see if they can run a functioning government, like a mock government.
So it's Lord of the Flies.
Yes, kind
Okay.
of. And as you can expect, in the year of our Lord 2020, God bless his name, there's some commentary behind it that I very much enjoyed. But I think my biggest takeaway from Bowie State was how effectively it like crafted a story, and it really, I think Tucker and I had a conversation about this, like, what role a documentary has in either presenting the information as it is or like crafting a narrative out of the real world footage it captures. Boy State does the latter very effectively. It's the narrative that it crafts is very I got super invested in it. I got invested in the characters. There
Yeah,
were
you
characters
really
I
did.
loved and believed in. There were characters I absolutely hated. There's a character that I thought I was going to hate that has a redemption arc like right in the middle. It was great. I was very invested, and the commentary that it holds is, a little blatant, but still effective overall.
Going to talk about something that not only is partly documentary, but the most 2020 film out there, and that is Borat, subsequent movie film.
Of course.
Which we didn't end up talking on this about on this channel, which I think we were meaning to, but never got around to it. And Tanner and I, both very big fans of the original Borat, watched this movie together, and I think while it doesn't have the energy of the first one, the commentary and the meta narrative around it is fantastic. There's nothing like this movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the comedy levels that the first one has, but the fact that it's able to play off of current political issues, coronavirus stuff, the commentary around that, and then have a twist ending that I think just brings it all to a wonderful swirl top on top of an ice cream cone. The more I think back on it, the more I'm like, yeah, actually did have a really good time with that. Highly recommend if you want some stupid comedy with a little bit of commentary in it. So Borat, subsequent movie film,
I'd recommend as well. Also, we're gonna do spoilers for just like 10 seconds here, but actually no, we're not gonna do spoilers. I don't want to spoil the ending. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, folks.
No, there's a great twist ending.
But
there.
the very
watch
ending of that movie is maybe the best joke in the entire thing.
Oh yeah.
How would I talk about another film we were supposed to talk about for this channel, and we actually did, and then never posted the review for it, unfortunately, and that is Aaron Sorkin's Trial of Chicago 7.
Of course. Speaking of things that have real world connotations in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll never see the review, but we saw the movie, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I think Aaron Sorkin can write a script, and Aaron Sorkin likes to give himself a victory lap. But I think that when it's not being self-indulgent to the point of annoyance, it's a really fast-paced and poignant. I don't know how to say that word. Forget I even tried. A really well-executed courtroom drama. I really enjoyed the film.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry
gonna go
about
with
that review not going up. That was me, guys.
I'd
love to play that into a bit, and then eventually we get a Patreon set up. People want to see it. I put it on there.
Well, here's the thing. I joked that you'll have it up in time for the film's Oscar nominations, and perhaps that might not even be a joke at all.
We'll find out soon enough.
Do I have the file still? Is the question.
Probably not. That was 3 months ago.
Let's see. I'll just do a quick one here. For a little film called Yes, God, Yes.
That didn't come out in 2020.
It did indeed.
What?
We saw it this year.
2019 film.
This feels like the 1917 debate, because people are fucking calling 1917
Here's the thing.
2020 movie.
Here's the thing. If some fucking film snobs in Venice, Italy see a movie, that doesn't mean that the movie came out, okay? I'm a man of the people, and if a majority of a public audience has a chance to see a film, that's when the movie releases.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay. Well, no, actually, it seems to be interesting. So it does seem to be 2020, and I was incorrect, but it is counted as not 2019.
Yeah, because it premiered at a film festival in 2019.
Sure.
Which for some reason the film community has decided that's when movie releases count for. So, but Yes, God, Yes. It's a nice little film. It's got some quirky teen comedy. Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things is pretty good in it. It just struck a particular chord with me because in my upbringing, I was forced to go to a few of these Jesus camps over the course of my early teenage years, and seeing that puts a film in a comedic way was quite hilarious to me.
Yeah, that was a fun one to watch in the theater with like old people sitting
Yeah.
behind
Oh
us
yeah, that was good.
and like significant others
Mhm.
close by.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was certainly fun. But you know what wasn't fun for me?
Oh, I think we're not. I think I know what's coming.
No, you don't, because
Oh, I
I'm
don't.
throwing a curveball.
Oh boy.
The most boring theater experience of the year for the two of us.
Hmm.
Emma,
Ah, of course. Okay.
Tanner, and his girlfriend Anna and I all went and saw that movie together and all fell asleep during it because that
Yeah.
movie is fucking
I think
boring,
the
dude.
I think the only time I've ever fallen asleep in a movie theater.
Yeah.
What is this movie?
It's an
It's-
adaptation of the Emily Dickinson novel.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Not Emily Dickinson. Don't know.
Is that
but
her
whatever.
name? I don't
No,
know.
That's the
Doesn't
wrong
matter.
name
Well,
of the author.
we'll find out. Hang on. Emily.
But regardless, the movie has an absolutely fantastic visual style. If you remember seeing the trailers, it looks like it's going to be this fast-paced comedy with really buttery production value and shots. And while it does have that production value and it does have the cinematography, it lacks anything in terms of character intrigue.
Sure.
It's overly convoluted with like people having relationships with one another, and none of it plays out in any satisfying way. And holy God, was that just fucking boring.
Jane Austen, excuse me. Jane
Yes.
Austen book.
Yeah, I didn't.
Emily Dickinson was a female poet around the same era, so.
Sexism.
Well,
Yep. No, just general confusion about history. Let's not go that far yet.
so Tanner's out here claiming he's a man of the people. He's talking
Yeah.
about fucking movies no one's even heard of. I am the man of the people, and I want to talk about my double feature of Sonic the Hedgehog and Birds of Prey.
Wow.
Because
That
you didn't
is
tell me
the
they had to be
most
the best
of-
movies. You
About-
said,
Like the handful of movies that had like a normal theater release this year.
and that's why I want to talk about it, because the day was February 14th. Some people called Valentine's Day. I call it the Sonic the Hedgehog movie release day.
Yes.
Now I found myself with time on my hands because my girlfriend was at work until later in the day. So I thought, what else should I do than have a fucking bender by myself? And while she's at work doing
Have a
real
grand old
things,
time.
she'll be out there literally working at this science internship doing this important research. I've got one hand in a fucking bucket of popcorn and one hand in a bucket of Skittles, and I'm watching Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. And I will say that's a fun performance. It's a completely fine film, but Jim Carrey brings that sort of special sauce that I needed. You know, I always need that in my life, and that was something special. Birds of Prey, though, I actually think is a film with a bit more merit. It's a comic book movie that has actual, I think, artistic substance to it.
Sure.
I found it to be pretty interesting. I think it's one of the stronger DC EU films. Of course, I'm a huge fucking DC loser, so I was gonna like it anyway. But I think that this film actually had something special. I think that it clearly had a more thoughtful and artistic direction behind it, and it resulted in a pretty enjoyable film, especially with Ewan McGregor and Margot Robbie against each other as Black Mask and Harley Quinn. So
it certainly did have a certain like creative vision for its interpretation of those characters, which was quite enjoyable to see in theaters. We saw it with a big group when that was allowed and a thing that you could do safely, and we had a really good time.
Yeah. You know what I didn't have a good time with?
Oh, is this the one?
We're going there. We're
going there finally.
The movie I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Oh, yes.
By one Charles Kaufman. Who you may or may not remember if you are a backlog BS stan.
A BLBS stan.
Oh, I just used stan in my own video. Oh, Christ. Well, moving on from that, I'm not a fan of Charlie Kaufman or his writing style or anything he stands for. And this is the culmination of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Thinking of Ending Things is my third least favorite movie of all time. And it's honestly refreshing to have the animosity in my heart for a film the way I do with this one.
It's strange, but it is always a bit fun to like actually have hatred and malice for something. This is Tucker's something.
This is my something, and I just don't think it has a lot of merit. I think the performances are fine, but and the production value is fine, and the cinematography is fine, but when you get down to what really matters, the structure, pacing, story, characters, it's just a fucking twisted blob. It's a bowl of spaghetti, and you're trying to pick out one thread. Well, I guess that's pretty easy to do with a bowl of spaghetti. But imagine really sticky spaghetti. This movie is a bowl of really sticky spaghetti. That's all I have to say.
Perhaps more applicable to like a block of dry ramen. Trying to get one noodle off of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sticky dry ramen. Let's just
Sure. Okay. You're really holding on to that sticky adjective, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Do we have any other specific? Oh, actually, I have one other specific movie I'd like to shout out, but I can go around in one last circle if you.
I want to at least shout out my favorite movie of the year.
Do it.
Do it.
Oh, okay, Abram, you don't have any more?
No, I do, but you
okay.
should, but Tucker skipped you last time anyway.
Oh, did he? You
yeah,
son of a bitch.
The dirty boy, Tucker Hazel.
Sounds like someone who hates I'm thinking of ending things would do that.
It's true.
My favorite movie of the year, everyone, I'm so happy to sing its praises, is Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor.
Oh.
I saw this in the theater by myself, and
yeah,
Tucker was sick, that's right. And
yeah,
didn't I have a great time in this? It's disgusting, it's intriguing, it's thought-provoking, it's stomach-provoking in the way that it's
so. That's a great phrase.
it's grotesque in its use of gore and body horror and sci-fi premises. The performances are haunting and endearing and interesting, and how basically, because I don't know if a lot of people know the premise of this movie. It's about I think it's set in like an alternate timeline, or maybe like a near future, where it follows this assassin who kills her targets by assuming the life of someone close to them. She does like a body switch thing using a jack that she puts into the back of her head, or it's her scalp actually. She just right into the scalp there. And she sort of assumes this person's life, learns their patterns, and then soon enough gets close enough to the target to be able to kill them in a very disgusting and bloody way, which is really great. But the events of the film is she's sort of losing her mind because this isn't a great thing for your psychosis to be switching bodies with someone constantly, and she has her own family problems, and the man that she ends up possessing to kill her main target of the film is he's a bit more strong-willed, so there's like this internal conflict of the battling minds in one body. It's very cool. I'd recommend it.
That sounds actually really cool, and I'm sad I was sick that day because I would love to see that in the theater.
Yeah, Possessor, best movie of the year.
Cool.
I have one more to share.
Okay,
I've got two more.
Okay, so then you go, I'll go, then you go.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I'm not even going to say much about it, but Soul I really enjoyed. Tucker and I reviewed it, card in the corner or description. I think that was a fun one. But I want to talk quickly about a film that spells out its entire premise in the name, Extraction. It's just Extraction, because this is a film that told me that Netflix is really here to play ball, because this is a surprisingly high budget and pretty fun action film starring Thor himself. Yes. Chris Hemsworth, I believe.
That's the one.
There's too many of them. But this is a really fun action film that has a lot of really long and elaborate takes. In camera action, very, very cool. Had a lot of Bollywood actors, which was fun seeing faces I wasn't familiar with before. And just in the context of a fast-paced and well executed action film, so worth shouting out. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix film, so it's worth watching.
One of those more frequent occurrences of a former stuntman directing an action film, and that always pays off. It paid off with the John Wick films. It paid off with Extraction. So yeah, I'm glad that people are branching out in their film careers. It's fun to see.
But you know what was fun for me to see?
What's that?
The New Mutants. I think that's a fun movie. Well, I think it's a great twist on the mutant formula that we've gotten so fucking stale over the last few years. And a fresh set of characters, intriguing premise, unique location, good sense of humor. I just think it's a fun movie, and it really surprised me with its sort of teen drama charm. It's corny, but it's just fun superhero teen fun. I said
I'm
fun twice in one sentence. But you know
I'm
what? I don't
biting
give a
my
shit.
tongue, Mr. Hazel. I'm biting my tongue.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I mean, I tipped my hand when I said the other day that I think all the X-Men movies are at best forgettable, so I certainly was not about to go watch New Mutants.
Well, I
Uh,
think well, in response to that, just briefly, I think I should restate my assertion about what New Mutants is in a sort of a analogy for the overall Fox X-Men films. If X-Men Dark Phoenix was like the death rattle, the last gasp of the Fox X-Men series, New Mutants was like a bit of gas escaping from the corpse.
on that note,
Yep.
I've got one other film to talk about, and I think this kind of pivots us nicely into talking about Hollywood as a whole, because I think we should talk about Tenet.
Oh, sure, go.
100%. That's the cap of our year right here, I think.
Yeah.
So I finally got to see Tenet. My college had very strict rules about COVID, and so I was unable to leave and see Tenet. So I finally got to see it on streaming, and I'm glad that I did, because I turned to my dad and I said, "We got to put the fucking subtitles on." And he said, "I thought it was just me getting old, not being able to hear." And I'm like, "No, Dad, I just can't understand what they're saying."
Wow.
Yes.
I put them on, and my assertion that Christopher Nolan is being outmaneuvered by both Sam Mendes and Denis Villeneuve, I feel was proven, because I think that Christopher Nolan is not the best person that makes Christopher Nolan films in Hollywood. So I don't know. I think Tenet is beautiful. I think that's got a lot of great ideas. I think that Robert Pattinson and John David Washington are phenomenal. I don't know where China's going. I'll just keep talking. I'll keep vamping. What's he got? What's he got there? Oh, a Tenet poster.
Yeah, so while he
Tenet
can't
poster.
hear, I'm just gonna explain what's going on. My mom works for a theater, and they were going to be showing Tenet, but they couldn't when it was going to come out initially. I'm sure that has outdated releases on that poster. But they didn't need the posters anymore. It's like, hey, you like movie? Your son likes movies. Does he want movie posters? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So they gave me 10, and apparently there were 2 in the box. And I'm like, I don't need this in my room. Maybe Tanner would like it, so I gave it to Tanner as a Christmas present.
I did like it.
There we
And
go.
Abram, if you're wrapped up with Tenet, speaking of movie theaters, Tucker, we should
Okay.
talk about movie theaters in 2020.
Let's speak of them.
So the movie theaters industry had a bit of a rough go. I think there was lots of drama. There was lots of shutting down of theaters. There was lots of big branches of them, announcing very intriguing things. I believe it was AMC was the one who said they would stop showing Universal movies.
Was it earlier this year? I don't
That was
remember
early. That was around the time of
Yes.
Trolls World Tour.
That, of course, was because Universal had their new 17-day theatrical window,
Yeah.
where you basically get 3 weekends. The theaters get 3 weekends, and then the films go to, I think, PVOD. I don't think they went right away to streaming services. I believe it was PVOD. So that caused a kerfuffle. There was a lot of, and still is with the HBO Max deal, in particular, a lot of open hostility between various arms of the film industry, which is weird to see.
We'll get to HBO Max, but I think I did hear that AMC is hoping to reopen most of their theaters across the country by March of this year. So
Regal said spring 2021 last
Yeah.
I saw, as of a couple days ago, which is nice because I live in a Regal area. So not the
Good
theater.
old-
I just live in a Regal area.
good old Gregory Marcus, he's been open this whole time.
Who's that? I'm
Dangerous
done.
or not, I don't know. He's the owner and proprietor of Marcus Theaters.
Is this a local reference?
I mean,
Yeah,
it is to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that is.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, we did see a solid handful of movies, I think, throughout the year. I mean,
6, I think.
I think I only saw
3
one that wasn't in a Marcus theater.
I think we did 3 in Marcus and 3 in the local college movie theater that shows like smaller independent films.
Well, we did Emma, Onward, Birds of Prey, Tenet. I did Invisible Man.
Yeah, I did Invisible Man too.
Sonic.
Yep.
And New Mutants.
Yep.
So we did see a solid amount of movies in theaters this year, and as well as I saw Wonder Woman 84 on a big screen at my hometown.
I only got to go to the theater that one time for my double feature. So.
Oh, interesting.
Sad.
Yeah.
Sad.
Sad.
Dab.
Dab.
No.
I don't know. I don't have a good segue for this. Speaking of dabbing, we're gonna dab our way into a little conversation about HBO Max. We did a video about HBO Max's big announcement that they had last month. Was that last month or two? Or I don't remember when that was. Time is a
It
flat
was
circle.
before December 6th because then I went to California, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
was before that.
Time is a flat circle and a construct and not real.
Well,
Anyway,
Sure.
HBO Max, they've been getting in some kerfuffles themselves. If I don't know how if you gents have been following the drama, the news there. Particularly, I think the biggest one is probably with Godzilla versus Kong. Legendary Pictures is really taking it up the ass with HBO on that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, hey, you didn't tell us that you were gonna put it on your streaming service, you assholes.
I mean, and then there's Nolan being openly hostile about the deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird irons in the fire right now. So I pay for HBO Max.
Same
Do
here.
you guys? Yeah. I from the consumer's perspective, I think that this is pretty cool. And I'm excited to see probably all of these in streaming capacity. I don't know how feasible it's going to be based on, getting back on my campus, but them saying they're basically going to impose the same rules from last year. I think that a lot of people are going to find the sort of hangovers from 2020 lurk into 2021. And from the consumer's perspective, I'm very happy that these films are going to HBO Max.
Is it? Yeah. Well, audience, correct us if we're neglecting to see something here, but I kind of see this as a bad or annoying for the industry, either one, and sort of maybe good for the consumer. But if you have a different opinion, correct us in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. But yeah, I almost kind of agree with Abram. I mean, obviously the lack of foresight to like alert the filmmakers and the different production companies working on these movies that you are planning on moving this giant film to HBO Max, a number of them especially, is strange to say the least. Especially with things like Dune. I don't know. I'm sure. I think Denis Villeneuve also said like, yeah, they didn't tell me. They just the executive board just kind of made this decision without consulting me. And this seems to be the case for a lot of movies that are going this way.
I mean, they're basically radically upending how film is distributed on a
Yeah.
pretty wide scale because WB is no small player in the game.
Yeah.
No, I would say not.
I think that it's annoying for the industry, but it's a opportunity to restructure theaters and how films are distributed to actually reflect where we are in terms of how we get our content and a lot of other mediums. So I think that this had to happen eventually. It's happening very drastically because
Yes.
of the situation, but I think we're going to come out on the other side of however long this takes with a much clearer understanding of the role of the theater in a landscape where streaming is big and where places like Netflix are taking original films from themselves. I think this had to happen at some point.
I mean, well, actually, the actual first movie that had this sort of thing was Wonder Woman 1984. Wait, no, that also came out in theaters. Not my mistake. But I think the first one that falls under this like big announcement that they had comes out next month. So we'll see how it starts going. It's not a huge blockbuster, but yeah.
I don't honestly have a lot to say about this. I am the kind of person who obviously watches a lot of films, but I hop around between any way I can access the film. If it's only showing in theaters and I want to see it imminently, I'll go see it in theaters. If I don't want to go to theaters, if I want to wait a little bit, I'll find it online somewhere. I'll rent it on DirecTV. I have access to a number of streaming services. But honestly, I mostly watch older films, so it is not really a problem for me for films to have that back and forth between theaters and streaming. I'm interested to see how it impacts film production in the future, but movies are still going to happen, even if theaters are downplayed to more novelty value. It's not the industry is not going to die. So I think a lot of the worries about this are a little bit overstated, but we're gonna have to see because we're now into year 2 of a pandemic and people are starting to get their work back together, obviously. So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Sure. Is that all we have to say about HBO Max?
Well, I've got something to say about just streaming services in general,
Okay,
because
okay.
I think that the theater issue is sort of a Trojan horse, a distraction, if you will, because I think
Oh,
that the what the conversation is going to turn into this year moving forward, and I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about it, is what is the role of a blockbuster film when things like The Mandalorian and WandaVision are releasing this sort of tentpole content every week, and people are watching that? What does that do? Because having Tucker and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, having Marvel releasing content so regularly on streaming
mhm.
services, if it's at the level of quality you'd expect out of an MCU film, well, what does that do when when the MCU films are such a draw to get people to the theater in the first
Yeah.
place? Yeah, like I personally feel, and Tanner and I talked about this in the Mandalorian video that will
Mhm.
eventually go up. I think that this sort of high production value serialized storytelling suits Star Wars really, really well. So I'll
Yeah.
be curious to see what kind of effect this has on the blockbuster as well.
Tucker and I talked about this just this afternoon, but yeah, with combination streaming service and potential theatrical release later in the year, Marvel is having, I think, weekly releases starting next week Friday. They're gonna have a
Technically
week,
this week.
yeah, technically this week because Marvel Legends came out, but yeah, I think we're gonna have near weekly, if not every week, new Marvel content coming out until the end of the year.
Which is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it be Star Wars?
Well, I'm kind of happy it wasn't Star Wars,
Yeah,
if you
so
don't
am I.
mind me saying. um, all right, fellas, do you want to talk about the Oscars a little bit?
No, but I will.
Okay. They changed up their eligibility rules to include some streaming service things, and they also moved their date back. But particularly, I wanted to talk about like how bonkers Netflix is going into the Oscars. They've just been pumping out like potential Oscar winner after potential Oscar winner, and it's really shaking things up. Because they sort of they did this sort of last year with things like The Irishman and Marriage Story, but this year the volume is just much higher.
Yeah.
And as much as we were talking about, shaking up the movie theater industry with streaming, I think it could also shake up the whole like award season sort of aspect of things.
Totally. I mean, I remember what Roma was probably one of the first
Yeah,
major
that's
one that
right.
was a
Yep.
streaming service thing last year with, like you said, Irishman, Marriage Story, Two Popes, all of that. And now this year, I think what we're noticing is not necessarily Netflix putting out more, but the percentage of films that
Mhm.
are streaming service exclusive,
Yes.
that are being worthy for awards is getting higher and higher.
Yeah, because
And
it used to be the Academy specifically was like, no, actually, your movie has to come out in a movie theater because we're all 80-year-old men.
yeah, no, but I mean, it in the end, it's still a film that people worked on. So regardless of if Netflix produced it or not, I don't really see much of an issue whining about it anymore, and it's just gonna become more and more normalized over the years. So thinking of it
Yeah,
as an issue is just gonna give yourself mental anguish and nothing more.
yeah, I agree.
So, pardon my language, Tanner, you might have to beep this out, but I used to not
Okay.
give a hoot about the films that
Oh
Netflix
my
was
goodness
releasing.
gracious.
For a while, I think they really had the reputation of these are straight to DVD, throw them in the fucking bargain bin movies, right?
Hmm.
But then, personally, this year was a big turning point between things like Extraction, between things like The Trial of the Chicago 7. I've heard
Yep.
that Mank is very good, and I would like to see that. I haven't gotten to see Mank yet.
Hmm.
Um, and then things last year, like you said, like The Irishman, I really love too.
Hmm.
For I am one of the hosts of a show talking about Oscar movies. I really don't
Ah.
give a fuck about the Oscars. I think that they're wrong more often than they're right.
Sure.
Well,
So their opinion means little to me. However, from the personal perspective, I think that the fact that some place like Netflix is stepping up what they're producing is really exciting for
hmm,
me. For the Oscars block, I don't care,
sure.
frankly.
Well, I tend to agree with you on the Oscars. I just find them to be fun. I don't think they're a metric for like if a movie was actually good or not, because you're right, they do get things wrong a lot of the time.
That's the point
But
of our show. Question
yeah,
best discard in the corner. Something fucking one of them, maybe.
to something. But yeah, I just think they're a good bit of fun, to kind of see uh what the movie industry as a whole has sort of decided is the best. And it's equally as fun when something you want to win wins an award to when something absolutely like underdog, or like how did they think this was the best movie or the best directing, or perhaps throwing it back to a bit like 2017, I think, with Bohemian Rhapsody, the best editing. How in the world do they think that was the best editing of the year?
Yeah. Just
But
fun to
yeah,
talk about.
it's just fun to talk
It creates
about.
discourse. It creates conversation. It gets people talking about movies in a higher scale in terms
Yeah,
of the
for
art, in
sure.
terms of the people behind them. So regardless if you think that they're worthy of large discussion or not, it brings the film community together in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah,
Because otherwise we're just fucking nerds who watch a bunch of movies.
yeah.
And this actually legitimizes that hobby a little bit. So I'm excited. I'm glad that they exist, regardless if I agree with them or not.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, but
True.
aren't they, John?
what can be, you know?
The Game Awards can be that, at least some of the time.
Shout out, by the way, to Velvet Buzzsaw, which is a movie Netflix produced.
Wow.
This is completely
Wow.
tangential to what we're
Wow.
talking about. But it's a Dan Gilroy film with Jake Gyllenhaal. The reason I thought about it is because Jake Gyllenhaal got snubbed in Nightcrawler from the
He did
Oscars,
indeed. Yeah.
which was really dirty. But that just got me thinking about Netflix, Oscars. The Velvet Buzzsaw, watched the movie. 4 people watched it, and 2 of them liked it, and I was one of them. So get some more eyes on it.
Yeah. We're not talking about the Oscars. We're not talking about Jake Gyllenhaal, although I would like to do that most of my life. We're talking about movies. We're talking about 2020 and movies. Do you guys have any final thoughts wrapping up 2020 as a year for film, or looking forward into the glorious sunlight? And oh wait, no, that's not sunlight. That's something on fire up there, I think, in 2021. But we'll get there when we'll get to that bridge when we come to it, and it might be on fire.
I didn't get a Star Wars movie this last year, so
No.
I was not happy about that.
Is there
because
one releasing this year?
No, I don't think so. But
No.
we are going to get the Book of Boba Fett, and I am going to get Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
We are getting something better than Star Wars, and that is Avatar 2 this year, apparently. Wait, are we? Nope, Avatar 2 doesn't need to come out this year. Fuck. We're getting The Matrix 4 in that holiday time slot. Yep.
Are we
On that
done?
note, we're fucking done here.
And on The Matrix 4, we're done here. Maybe
See
we'll
you guys
maybe
another video.
yeah. Well, we're gonna listen, folks. We're gonna be talking. Hopefully, if I can get my sticks in a bundle and maybe put them in someplace important, we're gonna be talking about movies. We're gonna be talking about movies a lot more on this channel. We're gonna be getting the name of this subset of shows right. It's back lot banter, and you're gonna be hearing that a lot more.
How do I fucking hang up?
Know who really lost the game? Donald Trump, the president.
Call me Carson.
And Call Me Carson. He also lost the game.
Kanye West.
Kanye West lost the game.
Segers.
We've had a lot of people lose the game already. We're fucking 8 days into 2021.
I'm the guy who fucking tasered his balls or whatever.
That guy won the game, if we're honest.
Yeah, you know what?
What about the
making
lady
sense.
who got trampled going in while she was carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" flag?
What about the person that fell off the fucking side of the Capitol building?
That was good. That was pretty good. Oh, all in good fun. I like that we can make. I like that we. I like that we can make jokes about an attempted coup that happened 2 days ago. You know what they say? Tragedy plus comedy equals time.